Hello my beautiful creative soul, and welcome back to the channel for another video. Today I have a very moody and spooky video to film for you. I hope you can hear the thunder in the background. I'm one of those crazy people where I get a severe thunderstorm warning on my phone and I'm like, oh my god, yes, this is amazing, all the feels, and then I hurry to do my thing before the thunderstorm's over, because there's something so amazing about rain. But when it's like a thunderstorm with rain, it just speaks to my witchy Scorpio heart. So my intention today was actually to film my summer decks that I used. Instead, because of the amazing mood that's going on right now, we're going to take a look at some of my fall mood decks that I'm really feeling as of late. This is not like a I'm going to be working with list, and this is most definitely not my entire spooky deck list, because that's kind of the majority of the decks that I own are more that vibe, so we would be here forever. But I wanted to share some of them with you. Some of them are old favorites. Some of them are more newer to my collection. We have a mixture of tarot and oracle. So let's just get started. So this first deck here I have raved and ranted and shared about what feels like over and over again on this channel. It has gotten a lot of airtime. This is the Haunted House Tarot. This deck is like one of my soul decks. I'm not really someone who thought they would have a soul deck. I like to use all of my decks all of the time, but I do know that there are some decks that I definitely jive more with or have a deeper connection with than others. And this is definitely one of them. So this is a Haunted House Tarot by Sasha Graham. It's published by Lo Scarabeo. I don't have the box because this literally lives on my altar. I use her more days than not, all year long. I don't know what it is about this deck. I've done a couple of tag videos with this deck. Only one deck, I think. I also did a video where I played like a fun tarot game where you like solve a murder mystery with this, which is perfect for spooky time. So I'll leave that linked if you want to check that out. But this is just such an amazing deck. It gives me all the vibes. Like I said, I use it literally year round, but it definitely keeps true to like a storyline. The major arcana kind of goes through like a haunted house and all the characters within it, and then each suit is a different set of, or group of people, I should say. So there's like the vampires and the demons and the angels and the witches. I may have got vampires. They're not one. That's just me making it up. I don't really follow that part of the deck, so couldn't really tell you, but I'm going to leave it at that because I literally have gushed about this deck a bunch. But that is my first pick. Always, always, always the Haunted House Tarot. Alright, where to go next? We're just going to go down the top of the list. It's in the top of the piles of the decks that I have sitting next to me. So the next one that I want to mention is the Tarot de la Nuit and the de la Nuit Oracle. Now, I don't know of many tarot decks that also have oracle decks, but using these two together makes me want an oracle deck that's like has to do with every tarot deck, because using these together is so fun. And the reason I chose these is not because they're overly spooky, but they're more fairy tale themed. So the De La Nuit Oracle is actually like all fairy tale oracles. I mean fairy tale stories, or characters from the story. And I don't use this deck often, but when I do use it, it's amazing. This is perfect for trying to figure out the stories that are kind of playing out in your life and where you can find the strength of each character within the story, and it's just really fun. There's something about kind of fairy tale, dark fantasy that just screams spooky season to me. I'm not someone who really likes fairy tales or things like that. Don't really watch Disney and stuff, but there's something about the vibe of this deck that just, yeah. So that's the De La Nuit Oracle. And then this is the Tarot. You could definitely use them independently, but this still has kind of that fairy tale-esque vibe. There aren't any specific fairy tales, but you definitely get that sense of being transported to another more mystical world that sometimes looks like a barren wasteland. Ooh, I saw lightning. I'm so excited. It's one of my favorite cards in this deck, the Judgment card. Yeah, it's just super fun. And the way that the guidebook is written, each entry, while it has keywords like, you know, every other deck on the planet seems to, the passage is written as if it's by the character in the card about a piece of their story, and it's super short. Again, this is another Lo Scarabeo deck, but it's just amazingly done. And again, this isn't one that I use all the time, but when I do use it, it's like chef's kiss. It's so good. So that is the Tarot de la Nuit. I love that we had done this. This character always makes me think of The Witcher. And the Oracle's a little bit of a bummer because it's one of those Lo Scarabeo decks, so it's like 36 cards or something like that, which is, my opinion, is like way too few cards. But, you know, you get what you get. And you aren't going to be pulling a ton of cards anyway because you really digest like one fairy tale at a time. Not that the guidebook is super detailed on it, but that is the Tarot de la Nuit kind of pair there, Tarot and Oracle. Next here, we have the Tarot of the Vampires by Charles Harrington and Craig Maher. Don't quote me on that. Not to be confused with the Tarot of Vampires by Ian Daniels. I don't have that one on this list because I've shown it a lot in previous videos, and this one's new to me, but I would say, I don't know. I haven't worked much with this deck. It's one of my recent purchases. I wasn't going to get it because I was super worried that it was going to be too much like the other Tarot of Vampires, which I really enjoy. Like, I didn't want to have two repeat decks, but it's different enough that I feel like it worked. I'm still a little bit on the fence with this one. Like I said, I haven't worked with it a ton, but I do appreciate the introduction of the guidebook. They wrote it really well. I like that it feels more like you're being transported into a movie, whereas Tarot of Vampires is like a whole nother thing. It's more philosophical, in my opinion, in that way. But this really is like, it takes you into scenes. This is probably my favorite Five of Cups in the entire world. There are, and this Empress. Okay. I can't wait to dive into this deck. I did an unboxing of this. I filmed it. I don't remember if I completed it. Something happened. I haven't looked at the footage yet. So if that's a thing, maybe you'll be seeing it in the future, and if not, then maybe not. I might have been saving it because I might have wanted to do a 1 month with this deck. But a lot of the times I don't really get to pick the decks that I do 1 month deep dives with. They kind of pick me. So love the strength card too. There's a lot of things that I love about this. I love that it actually like speaks to the struggle between the vampire thirst and the human world, and the passion and the lust and the creative fire. Like, there's a lot of things that I like about it, but there's also a couple things that are just like personal hang-ups where I don't really like all the city scenes. I'm someone who lives literally in the middle of nowhere. Like, it would take me an hour to get to a city in any direction. On purpose. So that's not really something that I like, but as I'm flipping through this, I see that, you know, it's just kind of, it's like the Tokyo inspired cards that I really don't like. And there's only a few of them, so I guess I shouldn't be whinging. But I do appreciate that kind of like spooky movie vibe. I am obsessed with Blade. I used to watch that all the time as a teenager. So I'm excited to explore this more and see what it has to offer me this season. So that is the Tarot of the Vampires by Charles Harrington. Again, not to be confused with the other Tarot of Vampires. Let's do this one next. This is the Witches Tarot, but it's only the minor arcana. I recently did a swap with someone, which was an amazing experience, and this deck was on my wish list, and they kind of put it in the swap so I could check it out, because they said they would also just prefer to have the whole deck. There's nudity in this. I don't usually do nudity disclaimers, but there you go. I actually don't have the full deck here because I've been pulling these and putting them on my altar. This wax card lived on my Walter, oh my goodness, on my altar for quite a while recently, and I'm obsessed. This is by Burning Paper Hearts. You can still get the full version, which I will 100% be doing at some point. Probably my favorite star card ever. I wish this was the Devil card. Love the Strength card. I'm just obsessed with it. It's like sexy and dark and like not trippy as in like psychedelic trippy, but trippy as in like mysterious underworld trippy. So I've been really enjoying putting those on my altar, and I'm excited to get my hands on the full version here at some point. Next, we're going to jump into the Seasons of the Witch oracles. This season of the Witch Mabon Oracle I had a real hard time with. You can see my unboxing, and then I also just recently did a video where I actually reconnected with the deck and it blew me out of the water. So we'll see how that relationship evolves, but because I had such an amazing experience with it recently, again, I'll leave everything linked that I possibly can for you. But since I had that experience, it made my You Get to Stay for Now list, and we're gonna try to work together. So love the edges, best part. I'm not going to speak too much about this deck again because you can listen to my very honest and upset unboxing and then my very surprised kind of second experience with the deck. So I'll just show you a few of the images, but we'll see where it goes. We'll see how I like it. I do appreciate that it's kind of more that spooky-ish thing. Again, I'm like saying spooky, but like literally I use any of these decks all the time because it just goes with my vibe. But yeah, this isn't usually my aesthetic. Like this is not my art style of choice, but it does have some vibes to offer. So that is the Seasons of the Witch Mabon Oracle. And then an all-time favorite from this series, literally the best deck they've ever done, in my opinion, is the Samhain Oracle. I need a sip of water. This Samhain Oracle, you guys, my words, what is happening? This Samhain Oracle has red edges and is just, again, not quite my usual art style, but you just can't beat it. Like this graveyard, like look at this. And then they have the most amazing poems on the bottom. Like, there's a song that bellows in the peace of knowing no end, in acknowledging the crossroads of eternity. Which is just like, even in a graveyard, there can be life because of this. Oh, it's just, I just can't with this deck. It's so good. I use this much more in the darker half of the year, just like naturally, not because I feel like I have to. But I'm definitely excited to step back into this. We didn't really have a summer here in Maine this year, but for some reason this week has been like in the 90s, and then we're gonna get cold again. It'll be fall and then probably immediately winter. So after this week is over, this will be the perfect deck to dive back into. So that is the Seasons of the Witch Samhain Oracle. Keeping on with the witch theme, 2 decks that I have acquired recently. Now, when I say recently, it's not like, you know, could have been 3 months ago, but to me, it's still recent. Anyway, I had held out on these for a long time. It was one of those, like, deck series that I'd looked at a lot on, like, the website on Llewellyn, and I always, like, passed it over because I was like, the art looks really weird and not really my thing. Oof, that was a good one. I hope the chickens are in their house. It's okay, Shadow. I know, that was a loud boomies. Yeah. I know, loud boomies. Alright. Shadow's just gonna stand there and awkwardly stare at me. Because he's all nervous because of the thunder now. It's okay, Papa. You just lay down, baby. It's okay. Mommy's the scariest thing in this room, I promise. Alright, so we have, what was I saying? Witches Familiars. I had held it on this because this wasn't, again, my art style, but honestly, these 2 decks, like, hands down some of my favorite of the year that I've acquired. For sure. This is the Witches Familiar. We're starting out with some of the worst cards in the deck. But the animal cards are good. I'm not a huge fan of when they look super fake, and I gotta be honest, they look less fake in person. I mean, obviously the ones that are like the gnomes and stuff, like the first one that I just showed you, those look pretty unrealistic, but ones like this, like, it looks okay in person. Not a fan of snakes. That one looks pretty fabricated. But the seal looks more realistic. Frog looks more realistic. Anyway, this has been an amazing deck to work with. And the reason that I have adored this deck so much, it's funny, I'm like seeing all of these cards again that I like just forget are in the deck because I never pull them. Of like the weird other familiars. I don't really feel like things like the goblins and things should have been in here. But anyway, this isn't a review about this deck. I love the guidebook. Because, let's see, we got ferret. You get like a little incantation almost. Then you get the message from the familiar. It'll tell you a little bit about the animal and like why it's associated with the certain thing. The message from the animal. Then you get like a specific direct divination message, and then you get some type of witchy tip. So like a spell or just a fun fact, something that has to do with using the spirit of the animal or etc. in spells. And I'm blown away by this deck. I don't know why I never see these decks anywhere. I don't know why no one's talking about them. Maybe because, like me, you know, people don't buy them because the art isn't really... It's creepy in a not fun way. When things look like they're fake, but they're supposed to look realistic, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to, like, bash the artist or anything. It's just that creepy thing, you know? So, this is another one from this series, and I'm definitely going to be investing in the rest of them. I know there's, like, a kitchen one, but this is the Witch's Moon Magic. Here are the backs. I love that it has, like, hollow edging. They are quite large, but they're flexible, so I can do the side riffle super easily. I'm sorry if that was crazy loud. I know sometimes me banging the cards on the table is very loud. But this is a really fun one. It has some goddesses in it, but it also has different moons, the meanings behind them, different moon phases. It's just, I'm obsessed. Period. The end. So long. I read the book, the guidebook cover to cover one evening right after I got the deck, and like, look at this. It's like cold moon. It's like, I want this on my wall. It's so good. So yeah, I really have been enjoying this deck. This is another one that I've just been pulling from regularly when I need a little bit of a message. Again, not just to do with moon things, because I don't know. I'm just that rebel. I can't use decks for what they're supposed to be meant for. I just use them whenever they call to me and whenever I feel like they have a message for me. So this has been, oh, see, here's another one of those creepy like figures, but there's not many. This deck does okay. So yeah, that is the Witches Moon Magic, and the guidebook's set up the same way. Like, you have a little incantation, you have a little message about the actual thing, you have like a direct 2-liner divination piece, and then you have a witchy tip or fact or spell or whatever. So that is the Witches Moon Magic Oracle. Diving into another, we have a lot of sets here. I just realized that there's a lot of like sets. These are two of my most recent acquisitions. This is the Wordless Oracle and the Deep Place Oracle by Ray Serafina Barker. This artist and woman is amazing. She does the style of art that I like, and if I make, you know, photo collage art, it's obviously, it's not like the same, but I feel like it has the same vibe, like it just the way that it speaks to me. And I really wanted this oracle in specific because of the Ritual Tarot, which I'll show you after. But this deck has no guidebook, there's no keywords, there's no titles, there's no set meanings for each card. It's just a bunch of artwork. And I love this because it forces you to divine your own message. And I love it especially when I'm wanting like a big overall vibe and concept for something, when I really want a creative muse for something, when I just want to get like an overall energetic understanding that like transcends words. I apologize if that was off camera at all. If any of these have been off camera at all. I filmed on my phone, so I can't see. But yeah, this has been amazing. I'm obsessed. I can't say enough good things about this deck. If you're really wanting to, I pulled this card this morning. If you're really wanting to, and this one, if you're really wanting to stretch your boundaries and tap into your intuition in a new way, where you can't rely on anything other than what you see and what that thing means to you, then I highly recommend this deck. This is the Wordless Oracle. It does have a guidebook, but it's not like your typical guidebook. She encourages you to not use it at all, but if you need something, basically she just has a list of different elements in the card. Like if you pull this one up, let's see, there's an earth. Yeah, so see the earth there. You could look up earth and say, okay, what's earth message for me, because that's what's staying out in the card. And then she has like a little blurb about the earth, and then usually like a couple of questions that you could journal with and kind of an affirmation type thing. So highly recommend this. On another note, this creator Ray Serafina Barker, first off, I backed her most recent Kickstarter for her tarot deck, and I'm super excited for that to come in. But she does archetypal astrology sessions, and I booked one with her last month, and you guys, like, if you want to understand yourself, but astrology doesn't really, like, go deep enough for you, or you feel like it doesn't really speak to who you are, book one of her sessions. Like, she just speaks a whole nother language that I have not witnessed anywhere in the astrology realm, and she really helped me understand not even understand, because I already understood my complexities, but just like saw me so deep in them and gave me a framework of how I can understand myself better, especially with like the parts of my personality that kind of pull and push against each other, and how I can play to their strengths rather than getting stuck in their hangups. And I'm just, as you can tell, like she does not pay me to say this or anything. Like, this is just totally me sharing, but it was amazing. So I'll leave those linked below if you feel like you want to check that out. But this is her other oracle. This is the Deep Place Oracle. I felt like she didn't charge me enough for the session, so I ordered both of these decks together after a session that we had together, because I was like, this woman deserves like tenfold what she's charging, for real. So it was a way to support her, but also, you know, get myself some decks because I love them. So this is a really fun one. It's kind of split up into 3 parts. It's as above, so below. So you have the as above, the so below, and then I forget what the third realm is. I have not used it a ton, but it's been on my altar and I've been dipping in and out of it. Again, it's got that amazing art style, but you do have the keywords, and this does have the guidebook. So if you wanted to have something of hers because you like her art, but you wanted to do more of a traditional style, this is a good one for that. I do really enjoy this, but I enjoy the Wordless Oracle more. I think especially too because, one, the cards are bigger. This is more of like a tarot size. But 2, I don't mind people like when it's like this, but that first, yeah, like the first card where the people are so like in your face. They're not my favorite, but like these ones, all the shadowy cards are my favorite. Like, love this first light card. I don't mind the shoreline. I think that's cool. Shadow's over here sighing. He's like, move on, Mom, move on. So yeah, love that. Love Seraphina Ray Barker. She's amazing. Sorry if I'm butchering your name. I don't know if you'll ever see this, but if you do, you're a friggin' rock star. Okay. We have 4 more decks. This is the Ritual Tarot. This is the one that I was saying really, you know, kind of inspired the desire for the Wordless Oracle, because I was like, why don't more decks like this exist? So this is the Ritual Tarot by Tara May. It is a tarot deck that's collage style. It's very different than the collage deck that I just showed you, but collage style nonetheless. It works with the Thoth system as well as Rider-Waite, and kind of mashing that all together. There are no titles, but all 78 cards are here and they retain their meaning. Within the guidebook, there is images of each card. So if you pull a card and you're like, I have no idea what this is, or you forget, you can look it up. But 9 times out of 10, I don't ever need to look at the guidebook. And even when I do, I just go with the fact that whatever card I thought it was is how I was supposed to read it at the time. But there's something so amazing about taking the title off. And even though I know, like, this is the Queen of Swords, even though I know this is the Queen of Swords, when I converse with her, she just says so much more to me than if I just was like, oh, Queen of Swords, there's the image that goes with the Queen of Swords. Like, it gives it its own life And I don't know if it's something about too the fact that she uses images from more like antique books. There's a lot of like stone statues and landscapes and old castles. This is a magician card. I did a whole post on the magician using that card recently on my Instagram. It's just it's a mind-blowing deck. There's the death card. Whenever the death card pops up, I'm like, you get me too. Death card's like one of my signifiers. So, sorry, that was super loud. That is the Ritual Tarot. All right, I have 2 more tarots and an oracle left to share with you. I think I'm going to do the oracle next. So this is the Compendium of Witches Oracle. I hemmed and hawed about this deck for like ever, and I'm still hemming and hawing about it. I love the idea of it, but I don't know if I love the execution of it, and that has nothing to do with anything. It's just me. So the deck's divided into 2 sections. I'm sure everyone and their mother's brother has seen this deck by now. There's, I don't know what they're called, but there's like the tools of the witch, and then there's like the archetypes of the witch. And I don't think that this was ever meant to be a divination set. I believe she just created these art pieces and then ended up making it into a deck, which may be kind of my disconnect there. I'm very like, me and the energy in decks, we go there. Oh, that goes in there. Oops. Sometimes I kind of like the messages that come with the tools more than I like the archetypes. I don't know. I really need to sit down with this deck and like have a thing. I've used it in passing several times, but I'm not sold yet. That's all. I'm just not sold yet. I do appreciate the archetypes. I think they're helpful in that way, but because the guidebook again is Los Scarabeo decks, I think it's fantastic that they make them accessible and their guidebooks are written in multiple different languages, but at the same time it kind of sucks for everybody all the way around because the amount of information that you get within the guidebook is very minimal. Even though the book seems thick, you just don't get a lot in there, and none of these witches are real. The only one is this one, the memory. It's based on like a real witch, but the rest of them are all fictional, which may be also why I'm just like, I don't know. I mean, the art is beautiful. We're not even commenting about that, but we'll see how my relationship with this deck evolves. But it's got that, I don't know, anything with witch in the title, I'm like, yeah. But, you know, witch as in like this kind of witch, not as in like the black cats and pointy hats kind of witch. I'm really do not resonate with that kind at all. That's neither here nor there. Let's wrap this up, Leanne. Next, another Sasha Graham deck. I just love Sasha Graham, period. The end. She's the one who, again, does my little soul deck here, the Haunted House Tarot. This is the Dark Wood Tarot. I don't have like a soul bond with this deck, but I'm certainly never giving this away. Never say never, but it's definitely one that I enjoy. I always have to shuffle these decks, I think, because I'm someone who has very tiny hands, and there are very minimal decks that I can actually riffle shuffle without doing, I mean, you saw me do the side riffle with some of the oracles, but as far as tarot goes, there are very few decks where I can actually like get my hands around them and riffle them. They're just something so sexy and So then it just feels so right about doing that. So this is the Darkwood Tarot. This is another one of those really awesome kind of dark fairy tale decks where you actually like follow the character through her journey through the dark wood. She meets different characters. At first I wasn't sure I was gonna like this because it does have that kind of like cartoony Disney feel to it at times. No, this is not associated with Disney, whatever. It's just the kind of how I explain the vibe. But I was wrong. It definitely reads much more mature, and I really like some of the takes on the different cards. There's one card in here, I think it's the Five of Wands, where I just finally like understood the lightness that is supposed to be in the Five of Wands. Also, is this not like the best 10 of Cups ever? Like the wolves with the cubs howling at the moon. I mean, love it. I love the vulture in this. I really enjoy all the animals, I think, is one of the things. And I love how, like, the characters are very, like, sexy and kind of naked. Like this Queen of Pentacles. And then you have, like, the vampire with the Three of Wands. This is just a really, really fun deck. Lots of animals. Very spooky. Lots of crows. Lots of, like, magical witchy beings. And yeah, I'm just, here's the Five of Wands. See how they're just like, you're playing, it's supposed to be like a fun quarrel, like not a serious quarrel, but like something that could get out of hand if you took it out of context or took it too far. And I feel like that just illustrates that really well. So that is the Darkwood Tarot by Sasha Graham and illustrated by Abigail Larson. I wanted to start doing that more. Like, it's so funny. We talk about a deck, right? And then the first thing we talk about is the art. And then the guidebook's kind of like a second thought. But when we give credit to the creator, we always credit the author and then don't mention the artist. It's like such a weird system. So, long story short, I want to make a point of crediting the artist more. They both deserve credit, right? And then the last tarot deck, this is the Santa Muerte Tarot. I have not used it. I went through and read half of the guidebook and then I got kind of tired. But I want to continue reading the guidebook. Sometimes when I get decks, I just feel like I need to read all of the meanings of the cards first. I don't know what that is. Let me know if that's something that happens to you too. But this is a Los Carabeo deck by Fabio Lastrani. He's also the artist and the author. And this is one of those decks, again, where I would like, I really had a pull to work with this. But I resisted it for a very, very long time because I didn't think that I would jive with the art because it's just not, again, it's got that weird, I'm supposed to be realistic, but I look very fake at times. Does that make sense? I know I keep saying that. But I finally just bit the bullet and I actually, let's be real. I purchased this for a summer deck because there's so many bright colors in here that I thought this would be an amazing summer deck because I'm, again, Scorpio witch, super hopped up on just like spooky, like death themes all year round. Like, that's my jam. But I actually left it on my shelf and didn't open it. I left it in the plastic. And that's not usually something I do because I buy, you know, usually one deck a month, although I broke that rule a lot this year. But anywho, long story short, they never survive more than a couple of days with their plastic on and not, you know, kind of gone through. But this deck did. And last week I decided to open it. Maybe because I started kind of really feeling those fall vibes. I don't know. But I'm excited to dive into this, to explore it a little more. I love the color palette. I love all the skeletons. Again, this, like, it looks like animatronic. So there's that. But yeah, I feel like there's so much for me here to explore. This is another one where I'm like, do I do 1 month with this deck? I feel like we're leaning between like Tarot of the Vampires by Charles Harrington and Craig Maher, or Santa Muerte Tarot by Fabio Lestrani. But there's also the possibility that I'll end up doing none of them and just using whatever I want. So that was my spooky decks that I'm excited to highlight this fall. Again, like I said, I could have done this could have been like a here's my whole tarot deck collection minus like 5 decks video, but these are just the ones that I'm kind of excited about right now, felt like pulling out to share with you, ones that I've been working with as of late or am excited to work with as we start to enter spooky season. And of course, you know, I had to sit with all of these as we went through the rainstorm, the thunderstorm here, which seems to have let up. So I hope that you enjoyed this. I would love to hear down below, do you have a favorite spooky season deck that I did not mention? Or are you kind of intrigued by any on this list? Let me know. Do you use spooky season decks year round like me? Or are you strictly like, you know, October only? one of those kinds of people. I don't mean that in a bad way at all. I just mean, you know, my way is not for everyone, and I'm okay with that. Anyway, we have the 8 of Wands here on the bottom of the deck, so I'm going to just say at this point, they're like, wrap it up. So thank you so much for spending your time with me today. I hope that you enjoyed this and found it fun. And I will see you guys all again soon. Take care, guys. Bye.